Good evening and welcome to USD 305 Board Meeting. Today is June 12th, 2018. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, we do have some changes. We do have an addendum to the personnel report that is at your place. We will not need an executive session for personnel or attorney-client privileges. And we do have one correction. In your board packet under 5H, encumbrance listings, on page 34 of your packet, the encumbrance to Dell for the purchase of the 54 laptops, please note that 29 of those laptops will be purchased for the Salina Adult Ed Center, not Heartland, as stated in the packet. And that is all.
Thank you. So they're not including CKCIE, is that right?
It is CKCIE
And it's both of them
Oh,
together.
Not Heartland.
Both of them together?
Right, but not Heartland.
Okay. Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the change of agenda? Yes.
Madam President, I move approval of the agenda with the corrections made by Superintendent Hardy.
In majority, I second it.
Okay, moved in second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 5-0. Moving on our agenda, I don't believe we have any recognitions or presentations. Okay. Moving on to approval of consent agenda items. That includes minutes of the May 8th, 2018 regular meeting, personnel report, financial reports, which include May bills list, May bond bills list, bond budget summary, April treasurer's report, April investment report, April journal entries, approved encumbrance listings to Skyward for the license renewal in the amount of $65,203.50, to Frontline Technology in the amount of $89,985.78 for the annual maintenance agreement renewal, to CDWG for the Microsoft licensing renewal in the amount of $129,757.55, to CDWG in the amount of $28,951.52 for data switching equipment at CKCIE, to Alexander Open Systems in the amount of $67,551.40 for data switching equipment at Heartland, to Dell for the purchase of laptops for CKCIE and SAEC in the amount of $52,373.52, to Dell in the amount of $271,899.99 for the purchase of Chromebooks, to Apple for the audiovisual production classes at the high schools in the amount of $33,980, to Johnson Controls for the CCTV projects at the middle school in the amount of $216,330.32, to Hanson Sports Incorporated for the purchase of new bleachers at South Middle in the amount of $44,861, and $694,376 for the annual insurance renewal package for the district. Approve copy bid paper bid to the Premier Paper and Packaging in the amount of $38,942.40. Approve federal Head Start and Early Head Start COLA grant application in the amount of $131,275 with a $32,819 match of in-kind services. Approve school safety and security grant request in the amount of $108,000, and approve of the 2018-2019 school resource officer agreement.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the encumbrance listings as presented.
In majority.
Ann, second? I'll grab Ann.
Okay.
Let me call on
Second.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, instead of you jumping in, let me call on you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That'd be great. With that, is there any discussion, questions? All All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0. This time is public forum. If there's anyone in the public that would like to come forward, you may do so at this time. I do not see anyone, so we will move to the action agenda. First listed on this, the 2018-2019 School Site Councils with Dr. Hardy.
Madam President, our school site councils are an important part of the fabric of our school district. They're great feedback, they're great representatives of our community, and they're integral on how we do a lot of things in our schools. As a part of board policy, IB, the board is required to approve the site council membership and the dates that they meet. So with that in mind, it's recommended that the board approve the 2018-19 school site councils memberships and meeting dates as presented.
Do I have a motion? And
Madam President, I move that we approve the site council list membership each school as presented, and the meeting dates as well.
second?
Emma Doherty, I second it.
Thank you, Emma. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0. Next on our agenda is discussion agenda. First is support staff handbook changes with Aaron Wright.
Good evening. Tonight, we are going to look at the, thank you. We're going to discuss the support staff handbook. Every year, we meet with members of our classified staff to discuss the terms and conditions of employment for that category of employees. And these are the recommended changes after meet and confer that would change the support staff handbook. The first one you'll see on here addresses longevity. Prior to this year, in 2009-2010, the district froze salaries. That year, there were no increases. They also apparently froze, not really froze, but discounted that year towards longevity for those employees. We're making the recommendation that that be removed, that that no longer be the case. These are folks who stayed with us despite having their salaries frozen. We would like to remove this provision from the handbook. The next one you'll see in 4.2 was simply added so that we could clarify, this has been practice for the district all along, but clarify for the employees, especially the new ones coming in, that if they're going to work fewer hours than their schedule would suggest they should, that we will be using any available leave to cover that absence from their schedule. This is something we've always done. If an employee needs to be gone, we expect that their leave will be utilized during that time. But we've never had it in writing, so we're suggesting we add that to the support staff handbook. Some bigger changes to section 4.4, paid holidays. We are recommending that we close the district essentially during the holiday week in December. This is something that's been discussed multiple years. And reviewing sort of the leave time usage during that time and the amount of people who are actually scheduled who are here during that time is very low. So we have requested to add 2 days in the support staff handbook that will be considered winter holiday and will effectively close the district between Christmas and New Year's. Any questions on that? Needed rationale? Quite frankly, the community seems to think that we're closed anyway, and the few people who are left in the buildings who are not using leave, it feels a little uncomfortable to be one of only a couple people in the building during that time. Discretionary leave. Up until this point, we have had two categories of discretionary leave buckets, if you will, for our classified employees. Those people who have accrued more than 45 days of sick leave were given an extra day as a discretionary day. It was the same amount of leave for both, but if you'd accrued 45 days or more of sick, we allowed you to use one more of your days of leave every year as discretionary. We would like to do away with the dual categories. It's difficult to administer every year. It makes rolling over into the new year very difficult. And it's not an addition of vacation leave days or sick leave days that they receive. It's simply how they can use that day that they already have. Yes.
Question. We say that they've got the days to use at their own discretion, and then in the same sentence we say, but they have to have approval of their supervisor. Can you give me examples of what might constitute a good reason for a supervisor to deny the employee using their discretion?
A good example of that is with paras. Many paras are assigned to individual students. If there is not a substitute available on that day for that para, the para would not be granted leave because then the student would be doing without their service. That's one example of why that wouldn't be granted at that time. Any other questions? Vacation leave 5.7. We're recommending that we remove one of the three categories of vacation leave buckets, if you will, for our classified employees. This is being done for a couple reasons. One, it is very administratively difficult to track these when we're trying to roll over who has what type of leave available to them in the next year in the Alio system. But the bigger reason is that we wanted to create sort of a budget neutral effect of closing during the winter break. So we have decided to eliminate the 13 and over category and combine that group with the middle group. So you will now have a fiscal year 1 through 5 group who receive 10 days of vacation, and a fiscal year group that is 6 or more years will receive 20 days per year. The 21st day, while it seems like we might be eliminating a day for those over 20, we're not, for those over 13, we're not actually eliminating a day. It is simply being fixed at Christmas or the winter holiday, which is by our review when almost 75% of the employees are using it. And I think that's it on that section. Those are the recommended changes. Does anybody have any questions about those or the rationale behind them or want more information regarding those?
Another question that just came to mind, otherwise
Sure.
I would have emailed you earlier, but how do you accrue vacation time monthly when you talk about it per year? You get an additional, like, 1 day per month that you work or something?
It's a really good question. You accrue those annually. We provide them to you at the beginning of the fiscal year. If you leave, however, before the end of the fiscal year, then a calculation is done to determine how many days you should have had based on the time that you were here. And those are we either get those back if you leave and have used them all. We get those back out of your final paycheck. Or sometimes they haven't been used and they get paid out as of the time they leave. But the calculation is done upon separation from the district.
So the numerator would be the number of months worked, and the denominator would be the number of months in the employment year?
Yes.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Any other questions on this segment? Okay, move on. Next on the discussion agenda is proposed textbook adoption.
Can I say one more thing?
Certainly.
I wouldn't be opposed if you all wanted to move this to action tonight. You'll need more time, we will. It just helps us with rolling over the new year if we have that
And we can do that. So do I have a motion?
Madam President, I'm going to dismiss myself as my spouse will be affected.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Gary?
I move that we place this onto the action agenda and that we approve the proposed support staff handbook changes.
Second? Emma? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 4-0. And did you note that Jim stepped out? Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, moving on to proposed textbook adoption with Tiffany Snyder. I'm going to ask you to scoot over just a bit to the mic. Thank you. Okay.
I believe you have a list of the proposed text and a breakdown of the cost. You will notice that there is no shipping on the quote, and that is because this vendor does not charge us for shipping, and so the price that we have there is accurate. All of the recommended texts are available in the student improvement office. We have laid out on the back counter if you want to come in and view those at any time, available to you. And if you have any questions for me, I will do my best to answer them. If not, if I can't answer them, I'll make note of them and speak with Trish Mandrake. She is the one that worked with those reading teachers at curriculum.
Okay.
I will say that the text, the majority of the texts that they are wanting to adopt are nonfiction texts, because as teachers met to review the units and determine what text we needed, that seemed to be a gap that we're missing in the all of our standards. So there are quite a few nonfiction texts that we're adding to the units. And again, I'm hoping this should be a final installment for all of the reading.
Great. Are there any questions? Any comments?
Madam President, would it be possible to move this to action
I
tonight?
think so. Yes?
If so, I would move that we approve the proposed textbook adoption.
Second? Ann?
Madam President, I second it.
We have a motion and a second to move this textbook adoption, or to approve the textbook adoption. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 5-0. Happy ordering. Next on our agenda is school board reports and upcoming dates of importance. And those dates are Thursday, June 21st is a board retreat at Holiday Inn at 8:30 a.m. And Thursday, June 21st also is KASB Summer Advocacy Group, SHESC, at 4 p.m. And I'll start with Emma with any committee reports.
Alrighty, attended all the graduations and was so impressed with all the students that completed their courses and graduated in beautiful ceremonies. Also enjoyed the 305 Live and the musical talent that goes in our community and is available for people to hear and listen and see. It was really tremendous. Also attended the Atlanta Adult Education Board meeting and very impressed that in the state of Kansas, there's 20 adult education providers with over 40 sites helping the adults get their GED. The age range is 25 to 44 years old for the age of the learners. And they log over 700,000 classroom hours. And the GED pass rate is 90%, and the cost per student is $597. And these students are so proud of their completion, and Salina has a tremendous adult education center with grants that are being given to them, and a lot of work, and the teachers are tremendous, the instructors. So we should be very proud of our Salina adult education.
Thank you. Ann?
I attended the graduations, including the Salina West graduation, although I missed the Salina Adult Education Center graduation. And I went to 305 Live, and I attended a Smoky Hill Education Service Center meeting. And I don't recall anything that I need to report to you from that. Thank you.
Thanks. Gary?
I was involved in the 305 Live production. I just had a great time working with the students and the musicians. It won't show up in any videos, but I'll just let everybody know that my fingerprints were on it a little bit in that, on the song, Try With a Little Help from Your Friends, the girls needed some choreography. So I was backstage working choreography, and one of the girls wasn't there, so I was singing falsetto for the fourth part on that song, working with them on choreography. I'm glad nobody can see that. It wasn't pretty at all. But I had great fun doing that. Great kids, all of them, great adults working with them. As usual, a wonderful thing. All the graduations I attended, all four. And then I'll also mention that Jim, Gabe, and Aaron Wright and I played in the Smoky Hill Educational Service Center golf tournament to benefit their endowment. And that was great fun, and it was good for me to get back and try to rekindle some of the relationships with some of the superintendents from nearby school districts, some board members from nearby areas, some principals and such. That's always a good networking opportunity for me to kind of, get to know people who I know I'm going to run into at KASB meetings and that sort of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I will put a little sideline that in Salina Education Foundation refers to Gary as Mr. 305 Live. So he does have more than just a little hand.
Yes, also to add to that, one thing about 305 Live, which was one of the events I went to, I don't think I saw Gary sit down. He was moving around, very involved, very active. Thank you, Gary, for all you do. Nedra, I know you were involved as well in selling tickets and things. So thank you. That's a wonderful event. So I was also at the high school graduations, the golf tournament, attended the negotiations meeting as an observer, and then went to the Parks and Rec master plan discussion where they brought the consultant in to go over kind of the master plan for the parks system in Salina. It's going to be interesting. We've got a lot of things that are moving with the city of Salina on the park system, but I think the thing that stuck out the most to me is the fact that the park system alone is about $5 million behind right now in just maintenance. So there's a lot of things that are involved with replacing some things, updating some things, and the cost that goes into having a park system and having facilities that not only are there for our community to use, but also to attract people to come to town. That's a huge undertaking. So that's going to be definitely a thing that's out there working in the community.
Thank you. I also attended 4 different graduations, and they're always very special. I don't know that anybody remembers a lot of the words that were said, but the meaning behind those words is often felt a lot, and most of it is pride of the student and all the work that they have accomplished in order to graduate. And I know that our students are pretty much overall very successful in what they choose to do, and I'm really proud of that. I've been involved a lot with negotiations lately, so we're up and running and things are busy here at 305.
Madam President,
Yes.
I should add that I also attended the meet and confer with the classified staff, and
Great.
and we had some really good input from the different people in the different departments, so I was happy
Great.
to be there. Thank you.
Good. Thank
And
you.
that's where we worked on the handbooks changes, among other things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Yes.
Dr. Hardy.
Madam President, I attended a meeting at the Smoky Hill Service Center that was talking about the power of tech colleges and tech schools, and I thought I'd share a few stats that you might find interesting. We know that the jobs of the future, and actually the jobs of the present, only 30 to 35% of all jobs require a 4-year college education. We thought that was very interesting. The part that they were talking about with the tech colleges, this is very interesting. They said 90% of all students in Kansas that attend a tech college stay in Kansas. 90% stay in Kansas, while they said the percentage of students that graduate from a 4-year university, it's about 50-50. So that's why they were really touting the power of the Salina Area Tech College was there, and they were really talking up their programs, of course. But we know from our statistics that sometimes we try and send too many students to college, and we know that the college dropout rate's about 50%. So to hear these programs and what their graduation rates are and what they do for the Kansas economy is pretty powerful. So I thought I'd share that with you. We've had some great discussions with the Salina Economic Development and the Salina Chamber of Commerce in collaboration, because USD 305 is the supply side for employers or employees for our community. So we're having great discussions with that. As a matter of fact, Eric Brown is going to attend our Board of Education retreat next week and share a little bit what he has that we've been working on. And I have to really compliment our high school principals. They've been a part of that discussion as well, as we get a little conversation and maybe some traction on how we can help our students link up with our employers in Salina so they stay in the community. I'm very excited about our first Equity Council meeting, which will be July 12th, so that's a little ways off, but we're planning for it now. And it's been a really nice journey that we've had, and a lot of folks have had their hand in it, and so that is July 12th. I also would like to compliment our teachers organization and our district team and negotiations. What a nice start to the way we doing business in our district. It's very collaborative, and that's what you hope it can be, and that we can continue that. The last couple things, and I'm just saying this for our audience as well, a lot of folks, and I just wish I had a little tape recorder of the number of folks that have said, so what are you doing this summer? You know, they say, so, like, what do you guys do in the district office? Do you close down? Or, you know, if you could be around here just for a few days, you would see this is a very busy place. Each of our executive directors is working really hard to have their study groups and like Curriculum Academy, all things that we have going to get ready for this next school year. A lot of planning, a lot of people coming through this building for different reasons. So it really is a very busy place. Really looking forward to our Board of Education retreat next week. I think it'll be a great time. We have a nice day planned, and I think it'll be something we'll really appreciate. And the last couple things, of course, I need to say something about 305 Live. One of the things I appreciated about the whole evening, the band did such a wonderful job of picking out the right music and really giving our students a chance to show off. And to look up there on the stage and say, wow, those are our kids. I know you're not supposed to be too prideful, but we kind of were. So it's very, very impressive. And then the last thing, as far as the graduations, it is just so affirming to see, like we went for the one for our adult ed center at Lakewood, to see those students, the resiliency, that many of those students have many reasons that they could give up and not finish what they started years ago, but they were there. And it was fun to talk to each of them before and afterwards. I don't know if you had that opportunity. Everyone has a story. And some of those students that graduated, you know, that now that they have that high school diploma and how proud they are, there's some pretty incredible stories of things that they've overcome. So it makes you very proud of them. And it's nice that we have these special programs for these students to be successful. So, Madam President, that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to executive session, we do need 20 minutes for negotiations? Would that be about right? 20 minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion for executive session for negotiations?
Madam President, did you say 20 minutes? I'm sorry. what-
20.
20.
And
I
let's
move-
just give a 5-minute break here.
Okay. I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 5:35 for 20 minutes for the purpose of discussing employer-employee negotiations. Because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might jeopardize resolution of the negotiation issues, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at 5:45, I'm sorry, what is it, 5:50?
5:55.
55 in the board conference room.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0. We will recess for 5 minutes into executive session. Thank you for coming.